are listening to the Justin Beahm Radio Hour.
Happy Halloween and welcome to the Radio Hour podcast. I'm your host, Justin Beahm. I'm recording this on the morning of Halloween, and the weather outside couldn't be more perfect for today. It's closest, I guess, in terms of reference for you to the opening title sequence in Halloween 4, which is my favorite in that franchise and one of my favorite opening title sequences in all film. It so perfectly captures the season, especially here in the Midwest, where right now outside the wind is blowing, the trees are colorful, and there's an overcast that makes everything a little muted in a way and serves to really make all the color in the trees pop out at you. It's incredible. And I just got back from a wonderful trip. From here, I drove out to New Jersey, where I was at Chiller Convention shooting interviews last weekend. I also popped up into Canada. And all the way there and back, I was staying with friends, which was incredible. I've always maintained that it's not really about what you do, it's about the people you encounter, and to have the opportunity to spend some time with people who I'm close to meant the world to me and was a real refreshing experience. If you haven't done that in a while, if you haven't reached out to someone that you're close to or had the chance to hang out with them, I can't not stress enough how incredible it is, and also it's sort of a reminder of what matters in this world, right? I guess I'll speak for myself, I get so bogged down sometimes in the day-to-day, in the to-do list, in deadlines, in work stuff, but in that, it's easy to sort of lose track of the real connections that influence us, that inspire us, that give us so much in this world, and I know it's cliche, but it really is about the people in your life. So I know from talking with a lot of people that since COVID, that's actually been kind of a challenge for some folks to reconnect, to get out of the house and go out and have dinner with someone or go see a movie with a friend or something like that. And this trip for me was a tremendous reminder of that. So thank you to everyone who I saw on the trip there and back, to everyone in New Jersey who was so wonderful. It was great. And actually, as I'm recording this here today, I'm in the process of packing up all my gear for a shoot happening this coming weekend and the beginning of next week in Kansas. This is a documentary that I mentioned on an episode, maybe a few episodes ago, called Cooksey. It's about a sculptor friend of mine, Chris Cooksey. If you go to cooksey.com, KUKSI.com, you can see his absolutely incredible work. I've been talking with Chris for almost a year now about a documentary on him, and it's taken a while to get all the pieces put into place, and that's actually all going to be starting this coming weekend. I mean, it's Thursday right now, of course, October 31st, and Saturday morning I'm going to be landing there and starting to hit record on this thing. This is my first solo documentary project, and it couldn't be more perfect for me. I love Chris. I love his art, his perspective on the world, on how we connect through different mediums, and his work is just mind-blowing. I cannot wait to tell his story, and I'm super honored that, I guess you'd say, kind of like my coming out documentary piece is going to be on him. I will have a lot more information on that in future episodes as this continues to progress and come together. I'm just so excited for it. Prior to that, though, on Friday, so tomorrow as I'm recording here, I'm going to be hitting the stage for the first time in maybe 10 years, maybe a little more than that, playing drums with Josh Luce and the Plan 9. This is going to be in Ashland, Nebraska, at a place called Flutterby Finds. And the show is on Friday evening. I think it's like 6:30 to 8:30 or something. And Josh and I are just going to be rolling through great rockabilly and surf tunes. It's the first time that we've had the chance to get together and play like this in a really long time. I had recorded some tracks for him to use for his solo performances where I just lay down the drums, and then he does these solo gigs at farmers markets and different venues, and he plays with my tracks playing in the background, which is cool. But this Flutterby Finds had mentioned, hey, if you get a band put together, we'd love to have you guys. And so it's going to be me and Josh. It's going to be us on stage tomorrow night in Ashland playing for a couple hours. It's going to be an absolute blast. And then that following morning, I'm heading down south into Kansas to start shooting on the Cooksey documentary. So crazy times, lots of travel and scooting around the country. I think it was over 2,000 miles total that I drove over the last week to get from place to place to do all these different interviews and stuff. And it's just been a really exciting fall and the perfect time to be out there connecting with all these friends of mine too, crashing at their houses, seeing all their Halloween decorations, watching movies with them, and most of all, that amazing conversation. It was a really vital experience for me at a really pivotal time too, as I'm moving into new realms personally and professionally, and really looking forward to the future. So I hope everyone is enjoying their Halloween. And you guys, if you have kiddos, taking them out trick-or-treating tonight, I hope you're getting all dressed up along with them. These are the kinds of memories that they're always going to hold precious. And I think I talked about that on a previous episode too. It's worth taking the time, right? You can stand there in your winter coat by the sidewalk, or you can dress up and be part of what they want to experience on that night. It's just, it's a really great opportunity to connect with your kids in a special way and swim in the season, right? We get this 1 month a year, even though all of us who are horror fans are watching all kinds of stuff year round and surely have decorations up all the time of some sort. This is the time of year when you can turn on AMC, like I did in the hotel in New Jersey. They were rolling Friday the 13th films all day on Saturday, and then on Sunday it was all Halloween films. It was amazing. It was great just to have that on in the background in the room, in between interviews or when I had to go down to the convention floor and stuff. It's the best, and I hope you guys are all really enjoying this season. When I was a kid, my brother and I would make a real event out of every Halloween. The neighborhood that I grew up in Marion, Iowa, was really like Haddonfield. It looks like the world of Halloween, and it was perfect for trick-or-treating. The houses are all kind of on these horseshoe blocks, so you don't have to stop. It's not like you go down a block, then run back up and head to the next one. You just start at the beginning of the neighborhood and you just wind your way through and around all these different blocks. And at that time, when we moved there, we were part of this community of young families. There were so many new parents or relatively new parents, and so the place was packed with kids that were around our ages. My brother Mitch is a couple years younger than me, and we had friends everywhere throughout the neighborhood, always had something to do. But Halloween was particularly special because it was almost like a movie. When you see a film and you see people trick-or-treating, like in Mike Dougherty's Trick or Treat, the streets are packed with people in costumes and stuff. That's not always the case in real life everywhere, but it definitely was in my neighborhood when I was growing up. And so we would go as long as we could and as far as we could, to our parents' chagrin. It would usually be my dad who would be out with us. He was always the one who went to stuff with us, like if it was movies or the swimming pool or whatever. Mom was back home handing out candy, and who, by the way, I have to give a lot of credit to my mom for me loving seasons like I do, including Halloween. She's a big collector of Department 56 stuff. If anyone out there knows what is it? Hallmark? I'm not sure who's behind Department 56, but there are these porcelain houses and figures and cars and set pieces, and some of them are electronic with like a skating rink where the skaters move around and all that. Mom, for every season, decks their house out with whatever is appropriate and for that time of year, and has all these houses out in all these different rooms, and there's themed sections, like here's the downtown, here's the farm area, like that. It makes it so much richer when you're a kid growing up to have your mom really celebrate every season. I mean, even through to like July 4th, she has every season covered with this stuff, and the more traditional decorations too. So I trace back my love for seasonal watching, for watching the movies when weather matches what's on screen. If it's a stormy day, I'm going to throw on some rainy movie. If it's overcast and kind of gray, of course, it's going to be The Fog or something like that. And I'm a junkie for winter movies. So snowy movies all winter long, Snow Beast and The Shining and all this other stuff. I just absolutely love it. And I draw that line back to my mom. because she was always helping us just go all out, no matter what time of year it was. But it seemed like her heart was especially rooted in Halloween. And I'm not sure if she's ever said this to me, but this is the one that she has, I think, the most stuff for, maybe next to Christmas time. And I mean, kudos to Mom for helping Mitch and I love this time of year. And that kind of led to everything that I'm doing now. I mean, looking back at when I was growing up and the influence of her, of these books I was reading, the Crestwood books that I mention all the time, Crestwood House, and then the library and the video rental stores around here. It was a rich time to be a kid learning about something new and to find a passion, something to really embrace. And film was that for me. And this season was that for me. My license plate on my car references Halloween. It runs through my veins, and it runs through every aspect of my world and my family's world. So thank you, Mom, for that. And of course, for being an amazing mom anyway, too. But anyway, Mitch and I would start in our neighborhood, and then we would make our way to the next neighborhood, and we would just push ourselves on these nights as long as we could. And if our candy bags got too full, we'd go dump it out, then trot back out down the street to make the next round, around the next block, into the next neighborhood or whatever. And Dad usually was pretty cool with rolling with that, so he'd hang in there. There were a few times, especially as we got a little older, where he'd be like, I'm tapping out, I gotta go, I'm tired, it's freezing out here, you guys are insane, let's cap it. And we'd be like, can we just do a few more? And he'd say, hey, you can do it, you're on your own. And he trusted us to do that. And we always made it back okay, of course. So I love it. I just love it. And I love when I see families out there together doing this for real and enjoying this night, especially at this time, right? In this world, especially in the U.S. here, there's so much just ugliness and drama and politicians trying to divide us and make us distrust at best, dislike at least our neighbors and things like that. This is a good moment to have these kinds of connective experiences where we're plugging into each other and where we are allowing our kids to have a good point of reference and a good influence for what really matters in life and how we can channel and invest our energy in stuff that really is what it's all about. And Halloween is the perfect opportunity to do that. Everyone associates Christmas with family, but family's always, right? Friends are always. And I'll say it again, stay in touch with the people you care about. And make an effort to capture what you're doing together, not just with a picture of, whatever's happening, leaning into each other like people post on social media, but like capture it. Put a camera up in the corner during your family's Halloween celebration or Christmas celebration or something. Preserve this stuff. I feel like there was more recording of each other back in the days when it was a pain in the ass to do that, when you had to go and rent a camcorder, like a VHS camera or something, like we used to make these backyard movies and stuff. It seems like more people were capturing family things back then than now. There's so much self-centered, not self-centered with a derogatory reference, but like self-focused recording and capturing happening. And so we're preserving our own histories, right? What about the people around us? What about our kids? Not just when they're posing for a picture somewhere, but like seeing them run around, seeing their excitement when they're engaging in stuff like this. We have it in our pocket. The means to do this is right there. And then, as I've talked about before, capturing the stories of the people around us too, which is a little bit of a different discussion, but I think relevant, where we need to be making sure that we're preserving as much of our family history as we can. There's always going to be this social media sort of map for each of us who have been on it for any amount of time, where people can look back and see what you've done. But what about the stories of the people who you're close to, or who came before, or who led you to where you are? My work is cool, and I'm very fortunate to be capturing this kind of stuff for people in the business. But it's in many ways more important to sit down with your aunt and uncle, or your dad, or your mom, or your grandparent, or your favorite teacher or something like that and just say, can we just chat for a little bit? And do you mind if I just record it on my phone? Just the audio? I just want to have your voice. I just want to have your stories saved. Because when my grandkids are asking about my parents or my grandparents, I'm going to want something to be there for them. History is vital. History is so important. And do it. Engage, capture, preserve, and share. Not like a social media share, but if you do record a conversation like that with, let's say, your dad, send it to his brother, send it to other family members, and just say, hey, I would love to talk to you too in this way, but to keep in your back pocket, here's this discussion with Dad about when he was growing up and stuff like that. It's amazing the opportunities we have right now, and sometimes I'm a little saddened to see that so many people are just engaging in that with themselves instead of turning the camera around. And I've always maintained you can't really live life to its fullest when you're surrounded by mirrors. There's no growth in that. Where the growth comes is when you turn that camera around. I'm really excited to announce that I am permanently joining the Get Me Another podcast team. This is the show that's hosted by my friends Chris Iannacone and Rob Lamorgis. Rob and I go way back. When we were in high school, I was playing drums for a band that he was the singer in, and we really hit it off, and we've maintained a lifelong friendship since then. Rob's a writer, primarily for television. He likes Suits is a show that he does, for example. And Chris is a writer as well. He has a production of Dracula that's happening in Texas right now. That's just wrapping up. It was an original script from him. And I'm so excited. I love doing this show. I may have explained it on a previous episode, but the core concept behind Get Me Another is that we take a film that was a hit, not necessarily even a blockbuster, but something that was really influential, something that was successful on its initial run, and then we look at, over the course of a number of episodes, maybe 10 episodes per theme, I guess, or per film, we look at movies that came in the wake of that successful movie and that tried to sort of riff on whatever their themes and concepts were. So right now we're in the midst of our Get Me Another Friday the 13th. In that, on each episode, we've touched on 2 different films usually. In each one, like The Final Terror and The Mutilators, Satan's Blade, we go through Friday the 13th 1 and 2 on one episode, and then later on 3 and 4. Shrigala was in this series, and Don't Go in the Woods and stuff like that, The Burning and Madman. So then we break down with Chris's leading the charge here. Chris does a lot of research on each one of these movies, and he leads the conversation where the three of us have so much fun diving in on the good and the bad and the ugly on all these movies, from the obscure to the well-known, that are playing with the success of a bigger movie. Anyway, I'm now officially, from this point forward, part of the Get Me Another team, and super pumped to be a part of that. You can find the show on all podcast networks or at getmeanother.podbean.com, where all the episodes are available. And I'll post on my website when the new ones land, just like I do for Radio Hour here. So exciting. I love doing other shows. I'm always a guest on other people's podcasts, which is a blast. I appear from time to time on a number of other podcasts, and I'm always happy to join whoever reaches out to me to be on their show. There's a link on my site. I think it's called Interviews, which really doesn't, I should probably change the name of that, because most of these aren't even really like interview proper experiences. Most of them are just me diving in and joining whoever it is or whatever team it is on whatever theme or topic they've pulled up for a given show. So I'm always on these other people's shows, but to have another home in addition to the Radio Hour that I'll be on regularly is a great thrill. And I hope you enjoy Get Me Another when you check it out. It's a great program, and they have so many episodes. I think they're up beyond 100 now. So lots of back catalog to dive in, even before I showed up and started mucking about in what they do. So Get Me Another. Thank you so much to Chris and to Rob for welcoming me with open arms, and I hope you guys will tune in as well. Today's episode is a special one for me. My guests are Mike and Jason Leavy from Fuzz on the Lens Productions. If you've been dialed into the horror world in particular, you've surely taken note of the success of Terrifier, the Terrifier films. In fact, as of this last week, Terrifier 3 is the highest grossing and most successful unrated movie of all time. It opened and beat Joker, the new Joker movie, in its second week of release, and here Art the Clown shows up and tramples him at the box office, which was really exciting. This film, really, Terrifier 2 did something important in this realm, but the success of Terrifier 3 now being so huge, it's doing so much for independent film. Whether you love these movies or not, it's important to acknowledge how vital it is that this thing has really broken the mold. The director, Damien Leone, had a vision that Mike and Jason are going to be talking to me about in the discussion you're about to hear. He had this vision to lay out 4 films, and he has stuck to it. He has been hit up by studios who wanted to make the next Terrifier, but they always wanted to turn it into sort of an R-rated slasher, which would kind of neuter what he wants to do. He wants to make something grindhouse, something extreme, something funny, super bloody and violent, where they push the boundaries, and that unrated designation is vital to that for them. There's a key to getting this kind of stuff booked in theaters, which we talk about in the interview too. How can you get an unrated film like this into nationwide release? So Mike and Jason and I dive in on that in this discussion. But if you zoom out and really look at this, getting an independent film, a truly independent film, like Terrifier 2 didn't even have all of the connections that 3 does. It certainly didn't have the budget that 3 does. But getting these things out there into wide release and seeing such success, I think that knocks down barriers for all independent film. Because right now, a lot of people are kind of burned out on what's been happening in Hollywood. And I think they're looking for something new, especially in horror. I know horror fans have been hungry for a new icon for a long time, and clearly Art the Clown fits into that. Even after the first Terrifier, I started to see people dressing as Art the Clown and homemade merch and toys and whatever else at different conventions and events that I was part of, and I thought, man, there is something happening here. There's something really sort of precious to the people who are fans of these films, not just because of what they're seeing on screen, but also because this is coming from a group of truly invested and devoted horror fans. They're making movies for us, for this audience. And whether this kind of extreme gore or whatever is something in your wheelhouse of interest or not, I just am so excited that something like this is finally happening. And when I was at Halloween-a-Palooza a few weeks ago hosting the Film Festival Awards, I was talking about this, how the success of movies like this really do, the waves are wide-reaching. In other words, it's not just horror. It's independent cinema, period. And it's proving, it's validating this effort of unfiltered artistic expression having value commercially. And I know we don't like to get too much into talking about money and those kinds of things, because we're all pretty romantic when it comes to this stuff, I think, or most of us are, where we want to believe that everything is out there for artistic reasons and for connecting with audiences and paying homage to the things that inspired us and whatever. But really, in this world of film, so often it is about money, especially when you get to the studio level. But where I've always found the most awesome experience is at independent film festivals. Doesn't matter if it's genre, if it's international, if it's whatever. I've been a part of a bunch of these over the years, and it is so thrilling to sit in a theater and take in, whether it's shorts or features, take in art that's made completely outside the system, where people have no one to answer to or to mess with their vision other than themselves and the people around them that they're creating with. And oftentimes that is a family approach, and that's what you're going to hear in this discussion with Mike and Jason about the Terrifier universe. It is really a family that come together to make these films, and not just these, but they also, Fuzz on the Lens also just released Scream, which is out there now, and to great success. It had a limited theatrical run, but now on streaming, it's just killing it. It's the same team of people. They're just shifting roles. I mean, Damien Leone has been a makeup effects person forever, for years and years. And that's how he came to the attention of the folks who wanted to help him make his own movie, which led to Terrifier. And I love the idea of these guys just sort of taking off one hat, putting on another, and then making the next thing. And then the other film, if you saw Terrifier 3 in theaters, you saw a little teaser trailer beforehand for a movie that's called SCREAMBOAT, which is a Steamboat Willie riff that's also from the Fuzz on the Lens boys, and also features like David, who plays Art the Clown, playing the Mickey Mouse character. And we talk about that here a little bit, but it's this quickie movie that they shot in New Jersey, and that's going to be getting wide release this spring, which is just amazing. So family creating stuff, working with people that you care about. I've always maintained when people ask what my goals are in the business, I don't have an answer because there's really no ladder to climb. There's no way to chart your course in this business at all. All you can do is believe in what you're creating and believe in yourself and be bold in your decisions. And I applaud Damien and these guys for doing that. They could have accepted more money from a studio and had much more financial success if they would have just acquiesced to what these guys wanted in a sort of standard slasher format. Whether you love them or not, they didn't do that. They chose to remain independent, to remain bold, and to go with the vision that Damien has had from the beginning. And I think we're all going to benefit from that. I think all creatives will benefit from that. This movie is, almost entirely practical, too, on the effects side, which is exciting, and something that is sadly lacking in a lot of contemporary films, especially on a larger scale. So there's a lot of reasons to applaud what's happening here, and I hope you enjoy the discussion that we have. I go way back with these guys. Back when I was at, I don't know that we really get into it too much in the discussion here, but just as some background, I first encountered Mike and Jason back when I was working for Trancas Films, and I had a Halloween fan film festival that I was putting together. For that, I took submissions from around the world of short films from Halloween fans that just wanted to contribute a little something to the mythology, to create. Some were comedies, some were animated. There were, most were live action, but it was really the aim to offer these folks the opportunity to dive into this world and to add their fingerprint to it. And then we were going to be doing a live streaming film festival online for that. In the 11th hour, this thing got scrapped. And from what I was told, it came down from the Weinsteins, where they caught wind of it, and they were not happy about the idea of us supporting a bunch of people who they thought were kind of out there really making illegal sort of bootleg Halloween movies, which is not the mission at all. And none of this is being monetized. I didn't charge anyone to enter it. I wanted it to be completely open, no matter what your age, no matter what your income or whatever you were making. That was the point. The point was to give the fans the chance to do this. And the stuff I got was so great. So many movies really piqued my interest, but theirs, which was called Halloween Awakening, really caught my attention. And so we hit it off as a result of that. And then the drama after the film festival thing was canceled, when some of these wonderful young filmmakers were putting their stuff on, we made this, let's just get it out there. Even if it's not part of this film fest thing, let's throw it up on YouTube, non-monetized, just to get it out there. And that can serve as a calling card for filmmakers. And it's also a great way to showcase something, of course, that you've made. So there were some complications when people started to put their stuff on YouTube. And I started getting calls then outside of the Trancas sphere from some of these filmmakers who were like, hey, what is this? Why am I getting cease and desist letters and stuff? And I was having to talk them off the edge of the cliff. Mike and Jason and I get into that in this discussion here about their experience with it. But that really cemented our connection, which has lasted ever since. I think that might have been back in 2010 or something like that, 11, 12, somewhere in that window of time. And they since have gone on to make a bunch of movies on their own. They have one called Abnormal Attraction. That's a feature movie that came out in 2018. And that a lot of these people came as a result of our connections. So Leslie Easterbrook, Malcolm McDowell, Tyler Main, Bruce Davison. It's a great lineup of people in that movie. Leslie Donaldson. I mean, it's kind of a horror who's who. But Stephen Della Sala and Jason and Michael were all at the heart of this thing and made this crazy little fantasy horror comedy on their own. I mean, another independent effort that came out, in addition to a bunch of other shorts. When Halloween 2018 was happening, they made a short called Halloween 60, which is on YouTube, can be found everywhere. It really made its way through the news cycle, too, because it's hilarious. It's the story of a much older Michael Myers with his walker and everything and his aged mask, which was, I'll let them tell the story in this interview about it, but that caught a lot of people's attention for the Fuzz Boys. And then also, they were behind the famed Staten Island Clown. If you guys remember, I think it was around that same time that they were showing up on street corners, in alleys, sometimes just in a neighborhood, a clown standing with balloons, just sort of standing there. And it became this cultural thing where it started getting coverage on morning shows, and local media certainly was like, who's doing this? Who's behind this? What's the story here? What is the point of all this? And they weren't saying, hey, it's us out there doing it. They just did it to see. It was kind of a cultural experiment in a way. We discussed that, the Staten Island Clown, in this discussion. And then we get into, of course, a bunch of Terrifier talk and about how these films have come together, the different roles that everyone plays in them. We talk about Scream, and we do get into a little bit of SCREAMBOAT too. This interview was recorded in my hotel room when I was out in Jersey at the Hilton where Chiller Convention was happening. And on that first night, these guys came in just to say hey, just to hang out for a little bit. So let's put the mics on. Let's record this. And then we had a great conversation about all this stuff, looking back, because it's been a while since we've seen each other, and it was wonderful to catch up. And I hope you enjoy it. They're such enthusiastic guys, and they are so passionate about what they're doing, and it's inspiring. It's inspiring, and I hope that you get out of it as much as I got out of just having the conversation. And I'm super proud of them. I'm so proud of them for all that they've achieved. And for everyone in their sphere. It's another family situation, like I mentioned earlier on the Terrifier stuff, but even on their independent productions, it really is family and friends. And they're doing it. They're really doing it. And they're doing it boldly at a time when we need bold. We need entertainment that is not going to play it safe. And I'm not even talking about gore or whatever. We just need unfiltered storytelling. That's what I crave. That's what I think so many people crave. And I hope you enjoy the conversation. Happy Halloween, everyone. Here we go with Mike and Jason Leavy. I'll talk to you guys on the other side. I want to go way back, because we go way back. When we first met, what was the first thing that you guys shot?
Where we had met, it was funny. We did a fan film called Halloween Awakening.
Yeah.
And it was for a competition that you were running with the Halloween Movies website of making a Halloween fan film. Mm-hmm. And so we poured everything we could into it. And, we figured this would be cool to not only explore what we would like to see happen in the Halloween franchise, but also maybe get some eyes on our work for the first time, and put it out there for horror fans and for people who are involved in the studio system and to enjoy and see and maybe get some exposure.
And the whole thing is that we were really just starting off making feature stuff.
Yeah.
So we've never really done that before. We've been making
a lot of short films,
a lot of music videos and things like that. And you said, you know what? We've always been a fan of the franchise. We always loved, Halloween and Michael Myers. And when we saw it, it was in the Halloween Daily News, something like that.
Remember HalloweenMovies.com?
Movies.com. We saw the competition. We're like, you know what? Let's just swing at it. Let's do it. Obviously, me, Mike, and Steve, we started growing our equipment even more and more. So we said, let's test it out.
Yeah.
And
it was cool because it was how can we kind of showcase our talents of filmmakers, but also have a piece of material. Well, now that's him. You see that? So I'm not as unprofessional as you claim.
We're both morons.
Right, we're both morons. So it was also like showcase our talents, but also have source material that is there, and then that was a challenge too of like how can we kind of make it our own.
Yeah.
And it also taught you too, being very young filmmakers, obviously just starting off, it also taught you how to make an independent film, how to put it all together and learn the steps on how to do this stuff.
For a feature.
How to light, for a feature.
Yeah.
How to light, how to do the sound. We learned so much from that experience. And we tell a lot of people, like everyone says, how do you get into it? Like, how do you become filmmakers? How do you do it? You just got to go in with 2 feet in, just jump into the deep end. Because the only way you get to learn is if you do it. So, like, people are so scared to do it, but you got to buy the camera. You got to get the actors. Do the work.
It gave us the reason to do it.
It gave us the reason to do it. So that was like a big pillar for us, that project for the future and beyond.
That was the whole concept behind the contest.
Right.
Because there were so many fans out there that were doing cool stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, they're not getting noticed anywhere. And I wanted it to be a platform for that. And it broke my heart when it fell apart in the 11th hour.
It's crazy.
And that's the first time I think we were actually on the phone together.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was when you guys got.
Yeah.
It became a complicated situation.
It was so
regarding
upsetting
your film.
because we worked so hard on it.
Yeah.
And then it was funny. We did it, and we worked really hard on it, and then it fell apart for obvious reasons, I guess, or maybe not so obvious reasons. But it didn't work out, and the competition could no longer go forward. And then we said, screw this, we're going to put it
on YouTube. On YouTube.
And we put it on YouTube and says, we'll see. And we got so many fans off of it. And to this day, out of everything that we've done, there is every once in a while somebody comes through and says Halloween Awakening, and it's like, I'm like shocked.
Oh my god.
And I'm like, and then I say, wait, and I think we're talking about Terrifier or Stream or Normal Track, the Pennywise doc, any of the stuff we've done. And they're like, no. Halloween Awakening, and I played Billy Brackett. They go, Billy Brackett, Scare Brackett's son.
The funny thing is, like when they were doing promos for like the new Halloween, they were using stills from Halloween Awakening.
Yes, but I don't think that was. But I don't think that was actually.
Official.
To be clear, that was official.
Yeah,
but there
still,
were news outlets taking our pictures of, because it looked great. Jason looked great, it really did.
Yeah.
And they were using it, and then they were putting it on shirts. He was coming back, and all these things, and it was ours still from Halloween Awakening.
Walking down the hallway.
So
crazy.
It was funny, but like it kind of worked out in a funny way, where so many fans saw it, and we talked about it, and we threw it up there, and we actually fought the copyright claim because we got a cease and desist.
That's when we hopped in, and we started, and you called me, and you're like, Justin, we don't know, this is scary.
Yeah.
It was like the first time that shit's ever happened
yeah.
to you. And what did I say at the time?
You said fight it.
Exactly right.
Just see what happens.
I said leave it up.
Leave it up and see what happens.
See
and
what
we did,
happens.
and I got calls from, and I won't talk who, actually we talk about it now. Somebody else called me.
Yeah.
And he was like, and we laugh about it now. And he was like, "Hey, you got to pull this down." And he goes, as a filmmaker, you shouldn't do fan films because that's not how you get noticed, was what I was told. And I said, "Well, I beg to differ." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're calling me. I don't even know who the hell you are, but you know who I am." And he laughed. So to this day, actually, we laugh about that.
That's
that
amazing.
the person who called me, and we become friendly because of that moment.
Yeah.
And it was cool. And they've become very supportive of what we're doing, because years later we did this Halloween 60 thing, which was a spoof on that went bonkers.
Yeah,
and,
one of your
and
a few viral things.
viral.
Yeah.
And David Gordon Green and Denny McBride, they all reached out about it.
We were at Halloween 40. When they did the Halloween 40 convention.
Yeah.
And it was right after we shot Terrifier 1, and Terrifier 1 went on Netflix. And me and him were walking around the convention.
As fans.
Just fans. Because we always wanted to go. We loved the Halloween franchise. We always wanted to support it. And we saw Terrifier merch. So we call up Damien. We go, "This is insane. Like, this, what's going on?"
Like, who would have thought he was never going to experience this, we thought.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we were there, and we were carrying the Halloween 60 mask, like the Michael Myers with the receded hair.
Yeah.
We were walking around.
But the funny part about that is that was a current mold of William Shatner's face now.
Yeah.
So we got somebody who worked with him or did a 3D scan, and they had his face, and we said, let's make the shape face out of his face now.
the older face.
With the wrinkles and,
So smart.
wiring, and,
Yeah.
and we gave it a receding hairline. So there was a lot of fun
It's
with
hilarious.
Right.
It is
Yeah.
so
But it went,
well done.
that was another, it kind of
Right.
popped and went viral,
Yeah.
and those guys were like, that was fun.
And what year was that?
2012 maybe? 20, no, it had to be later. That was
Way
2018,
later.
because that was
Okay.
when the
It was right after.
2040.
It's when 18 came
Yes, it was
out.
when 18
Okay.
came out. We
Yeah.
shot for shot their trailer and spoofed it. Michael's
right.
got Viagra to get his knife up.
Yeah.
And it went all over the place. And I made a joke to the guys that are part of Trancas and Halloween. I said, am I going to get another cease and desist? And because from Halloween Awakening, and they go, no, this is
They
hilarious.
said they would love. They said they would.
They
laugh.
said
showed
this was.
Jamie,
They showed Jamie Lee
showed
Curtis. They told us, and
McBride, he loved
McBride,
it.
and they loved it. And they
So-
said, and I met McBride because he was there. Not McBride. I met
No,
David Gordon
Gordon
Green
Green.
because he was there, and he says, you remind me of how we were in college with McBride and that whole team. So that was cool. But again, it came out of this competition
Yeah.
of what you had put together, and that kind of got us into that world of experimenting. And so it's a shame of what happened, but it also became funny of
It was a stepping stone.
how we capitalized, I guess, on
Right.
Yeah.
just put it out there, and we won the YouTube claim.
And
YouTube took it down after like 1 million views or whatever it was, and then we fought it, showed the paperwork of like, look, they said we could do it, and then YouTube popped it back
There
up.
you go.
And I
Yeah.
got the call, you son of a bitch. How did you do this? But it's cool.
It was great.
cool,
It
yeah.
was so great. And
Yeah.
you guys blew me away with that. That was just such a.
And it was fun because we were literally shooting the shot, and Steve's lighting the whole thing. He's like, "You gotta put the lights here. This is how it's set up." And then we would look at the shot, look at our thing, look at the shot, and then we did
That's for 60.
For 60. But
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
did a side by side with the trailer and everything, and it was like they loved it. They were laughing hysterically.
We
It's
almost
so great.
we almost did, Justin. We almost did
Oh,
a
right.
Halloween pills for kills,
Right.
and then a Halloween depends for ends.
We had it.
And-
we had it all.
but
lined
It's
up.
not too late, guys.
But yeah, and people still ask. They go, screw Terrifier. Are you making this Halloween spoof thing?
Yeah,
Like,
But we
guys,
have the mask burnt. The 60
yeah, we did
mask
it.
is burnt.
We did
So we
we
had
made
it.
another William Shatner face burnt. We had it all ready to go,
Yeah.
and then Terrifier 2 hit, and it was like just so much happened,
much
and we
time
just had no time to do it.
Let's back up though. So after that, after the Halloween Awakening thing, and you guys started. I mean, that year, the next couple years, you were doing a lot of shorts
A lot of shorts.
during that time. And when did everything transition onto a larger scale for you guys?
normal attraction.
What was the moment, and what led to it?
We were doing a lot of short films. We were doing a lot of horror conventions. We were meeting a lot of people. We became friends with Tyler Main and Leslie Easterbrook and Bruce Davison. We were meeting them at these conventions and stuff. And we had written a short. It was a short originally called Abnormal Attraction. It was about this AA meeting where there are people who have, instead of an Alcoholics Anonymous, they had an abnormal attraction problem to mythical creatures and fairy tale creatures and monsters. And it was actually Robert Englund, who I had met because of you originally at Rock and Shock. I had made friends with him and Nancy, and I got involved with the Fear Clinic movie. I played a younger version of him in the
Which
film.
is perfect casting.
Yeah.
And it was Bobby King, the
Don't
stunt
blow his head up too
coordinator.
much.
It was Bobby King, the stunt coordinator, who put the connection together and brought me to Robert. Robert goes to Robert Hall. Goes, this kid is me. Back in the days, just my hair was blonder. He goes, he's got to do it. And so we did it. We shot it, and I became an associate producer on the film. And they cut the young stuff. Rob Hall was so upset. It was the producers, I guess, ended up doing it because it was too long.
The pictures you guys put up are great.
Yeah, and they ended up cutting my sequence for that, but I played the younger I played the blackness of him in certain scenes, where like I put the mask on and they put the prosthetics and
Okay.
stuff. So I played a lot of him in the end of the movie
All right.
for like the stunty stuff.
Yeah.
And so I stayed in touch with Robert a little bit, and I stayed in touch with Bobby King, the stunt coordinator, and even Rob Hall until his passing.
Yeah.
And, he was very supportive of everything that we were doing. And Robert, I had sent him the script for Abnormal Attraction, the short, and he loved it. And he was like, Mike, this is really funny. He goes, I think, though, you're wasting your time with this doing it a short. He goes, you should turn it into a feature because it could be a hit. It could be something. He goes, you're not going to make money on a short. Yeah. And it was him who really convinced me to turn it into this feature.
Anthology feature. Yeah.
And so we turned it into an anthology kind of thing because we didn't want to lose what the short was.
Right.
So we kind of made this parallel, like Vantage Point, that movie Vantage Point, where it kept going back to the same part, and then it would show like what's happening
and it would
simultaneously.
show
Reveal.
the different stories of different characters.
So like that's what happened. But again, through the convention circuit, we had become friends with Tyler Mane and Leslie Easterbrook, and so they ended up doing the film, and we got so many people from doing the horror world to be a part of it, and we had a blast doing it, and that was another step.
And that was our first time really dealing with how do you manage a budget, how do you manage a schedule,
Sure, yeah.
like how do you actually do all these things. And remember, we were just like fresh out of college,
Yeah.
so we like learned about it. But
I was 23.
We never really fully.
I was
dove
23
into
directing
world.
that movie.
Yeah.
So we always say, like, listen, film is great. You're creating, your dream or whatever, but it's more of a business. So you have to have someone with a business mindset
Right.
to do this stuff. So Steve is really that head for us. We're the three-headed monster. Like we try to be that way, the creative and the business and things like that, and we try to make it work. And that's why we work so well together, is because you have those pieces. So Abnormal Attraction was really like, for us, a learning curve, like to really try to
make a feature, but
film
with
all these actors that we like, these people we grew up watching.
Yeah.
So
What do you think was the most valuable thing you learned on that?
I think, truthfully, how to coordinate a feature film that isn't just about the people you know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, outside of that. Like, working with, Bruce Davison is an Academy Award nominated actor. And
Bringing him in,
putting him up,
Right.
per diem. I never knew what the hell that word
Right.
meant.
Yeah.
Per diem. You get paid, and then you get paid again just to be
To eat?
just to eat. Like, but I had no idea what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Fittings and things, and
SAG.
Yeah.
dealing with SAG,
Oh, yeah.
and
Dealing with the time cards.
That's
and
a big
everything else.
lesson.
Yeah, it's a lot.
it's a big lesson. We're still learning, and but it was a lot of that, and then also, just scheduling was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think that we learned of like flying in actors in and out, and trying to make it work with their schedule, with our schedule, shooting schedules. So like that movie, very proud of it, and it found its kind of cult following. But again, it was a movie that we made that we knew wasn't a commercial kind of film, but we also knew it was something we wanted to make because it was just something we were interested in.
Right.
And that's why we went for it. And that, again, was another step. That actually introduced us to Phil Falcone and Damien Leone.
That's how it rolled into Terrifier.
It rolled into Terrifier because of doing that movie. Had we not done that film, we're not involved in Terrifier.
Well, this is the whole thing. So how we got to meet Phil
Yeah.
was we were filming the ending scene from Normal Attraction, and a friend of ours who was doing the sound.
But he was also the post-production supervisor.
Yes, he would came up to us and he said, "Hey, I have a friend of mine. His name's Phil Falcone. He loves making movies.
He's looking to get involved in making movies. He's a Wall Street guy.
Right, and he wanted to come on set. He goes
To see how it works.
worked and everything. So we were like, yeah, we bring him on set and whatever. He came down, and he's like us. When we do a movie, we love the family atmosphere. It's me and my brother doing a movie, and our best friends that we grew up since we were in
So
grammar
he was
school.
an East Coast guy, and he loved what we were doing, loved that we were just doing it. And he loved the sets that we built, and so he invited us to do his movie Joe's War,
Right.
with Tom Sizemore and oh my God, I can't believe it's escaping. Amanda Sante,
yeah.
and Ed Asner.
Okay.
And we had worked a little bit on that. Damien did the effects on it, and that's when they were gearing up to make Terrifier, the first film, and
Off of All Hallows Eve.
off of
Yes.
All Hallows Eve.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
All Hallows Eve was this short film that had Art the Clown in it, and there was a small fan base that really was into Art the Clown, and now they were taking their step to make the feature. And Phil partnered up with Damien to learn effects and fund the movie to get it done. So they're talking about this, and I remember like it was yesterday. Phil's son, as we're on the set, shows me and Jason a picture of what Art the Clown looked like, and we said, "Wow, if they don't screw this up, this is a hit." We said this could be. It looks great.
Yeah.
So hope they don't screw it up. And then, luckily, somehow by the grace of God or falling ass backwards into it, we somehow, got involved. And originally we got involved as actors.
Right.
They had originally asked me and Steve Delasala to audition because they knew we acted, and they said, "Can you guys want to be a part of this audition for the role of the cops?" So we did, and we got the role. Damien then called me and said, "Hey, there's another role I'd love you to play. It's this exterminator, but the thing is, you're not going to live." So I said, "Well, if you don't die in a horror movie, you're really involved in a horror movie." He goes, "So we did it to cast my head." I said, "But my brother Jay has similar acting styles to me. If you like that, could he be the cop that I'm no longer being?" So this way, the three of us from Fuzz are involved.
I thought this was the other way around. I always assumed it was the other way, but it was the acting
It
first.
was the acting first.
Huh.
And believe it or not, because like you would expect it to be the other way around. And so they cast him as the cop. And then as we got to know them, they started to realize like, oh, wait, we started doing more and more. We started becoming part of the crew and,
But what did they see
integrating.
first? They saw Halloween 60, Damien saw it, and then that's when he said 100%.
No, but that was for 2.
Yes,
You're
for
jumping
2.
ahead.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but that
that
too.
was for 2. But I'm talking before that, we were getting involved.
Right.
And it was funny because then he found out about the Staten Island Clown, and he was like, you're marketing for that. We started the clown craze of these viral clowns.
We're going to talk
showing
about that
up
in a minute.
all over
yeah.
the place.
Yeah.
So he found that, says, I wanted a marketing plan like that to pop Terrifier. He goes, I can't believe now we're with the guys. So again, that was the early stage. We were acting in the first one, doing some crew.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until over the next few years we became like family and friends that it was like, I was smart enough to realize I'm dead. I can't act anymore. I might as well produce, and then we became producers, the production team, and assistant director and stuff for Terrifier too.
Right. Yeah. And you're in 2.
I cast.
Your background, right?
I'm background. We're all background.
You're all.
9 people.
And we've all played Art the Clown.
I definitely saw you.
Yeah, I was definitely in the club.
And he's in 3 too. He's in 3 as well.
I'm in 3. I'm the only one. So
He ruins a shot. Actually, it's the most crazy moment in 3 where Sienna's watching Art with the new
the
Santa
mall?
mask
Yeah.
in the mall, and it's slow motion. And he's
Yeah.
walking, and it cuts back to normal, and there's this dopey fuck him in the background walking. And Damien, you gotta watch it, and he's walking so stupidly, and Damien goes, "Oh my god!" He goes, "It's every shot." And that's me as the AD going, "Come on through, Jay."
Oh my God.
But
Okay.
it's so funny. He was watching in the editing room, and he's like, "Jay, you son of a bitch, you did it
You
again."
ruined it.
Because I did it in 2. He's like,
We did it in 2
but
and 3.
Hey, it's a good luck charm. We might as well keep it going.
Keep it going. Yeah.
But it was it started out there, and then we became family and best of friends, and then became producers on it, and kind of took off. But I know we're jumping ahead.
It's all relevant though. It's a web.
Yeah.
It really is, and it's interesting. And I think people don't really know how relationships can evolve, and those little moments of saying yes to something, taking the shot. This is a big part of my message.
Especially in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. It's answer the call.
Because at the end of the day, in the beginning, what do you have to lose? Nothing.
Exactly. Yeah,
Nothing
that's
to
great.
lose. So you might as well just try it, and if it fails, what do you back to square
It's
one?
interesting that they were looking at what they were calling marketing with the Staten Island Clown thing, because I think that also influenced Paramount's Smile campaign.
Yeah.
Too.
Crazy.
But let's talk about the Staten Island Clown, because everybody who's listening remembers when this was happening.
Right.
And
Yep.
I'll let you tell the tale, because I was so impressed with you guys.
The tale was actually really, really funny because we were
The
sitting
truth?
The truth. The truth is we were sitting in a bar, and me and Michael were sitting
We're
at
in
the
Buffalo Wild Wings,
Right.
so there's a plug.
Right. So me, my brother,
Waiting
and
for
my
that check.
and my best friend, Greg DeAngelis, were sitting in a bar. And we were like, we need to bring more attention to the company. We were just about to film a
Fuzz on
movie.
the Lens is what we're talking
Fuzz
about.
On the
Fuzz on the Lens.
We need to bring more attention. What can we do that's something really stupid that can get the whole, a certain buzz going?
Yeah.
And also, we wanted to change the narrative of, there were so many, especially in Staten Island, it's all about ODing
Yeah,
and
negative
things. So we said, how can we put something out there
That's fun.
change the news, also give attention to us.
Yeah.
But our plan didn't unfold the way we thought it
thought
would,
it would,
because
yeah.
I didn't understand the word viral until this happened.
Yeah.
We thought maybe 3 months, we'll be the ones to capture the clown. It's really us. It was 3 days, and we had to rethink the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
so we were sitting in the bar, and we were like, what can we do? Well, let's take a picture of something on the corner. We don't know what it was. We could put a
Grim
Sasquatch,
Reaper.
We're like, that won't work. But what about, and me and Michael looked at each other and said, what about a clown?
Because
either people like them or they hate them.
Right.
Yeah.
There's such a strong feeling towards clowns.
Yep.
And we just felt that kind of the community will do the marketing itself, because they'll argue about, like, why is this clown there? How is this clown there? I hate clowns. I love clowns. Clowns are creepy. And again, I actually think it influenced the remake of Stephen King's It too, because it was like before that, and then all of a sudden now they're remaking, and I just think unless it was like this kind of cultural thing that was happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Like we were tapped into it, and maybe the studios were tapped into it. I don't know, because it all kind of popped at that point. And so that night we went and
No, but you got to remember the part. So we were sitting with my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And we were like, "Come take the picture with us."
Our friend.
And my friend goes, and I'll never forget it. He goes, "That will never work in a million years."
it is the
It
stupidest
is the
thing.
stupidest idea. I said, "All right, fine. Me and Michael will go do it."
And
So
we went and did it
and took a
and
picture.
put the clown out there and
I wish
and-
we filmed it because it was two jackasses just going, "Put the costume on." He's
Yeah,
zipping
yeah,
me
yeah.
up. Take the picture.
No,
in the
no,
corner.
we still never revealed who the clown
Yeah,
is.
it is now.
And so the clown goes out there, and I remember it pops 3 days later, and he goes up laughing, goes, "You sons of bitches!" He goes, "How did this work?" It was all over. It was in the front page of like this paper in
BuzzFeed.
Milan.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed.
And
Oh,
they
yeah.
go,
Yeah.
U.S. goes crazy. I got the thing.
Morning talk shows.
Morning talk shows, USA Today, all of
Yep.
this stuff. But it helped us, again, not only put Fuzz and the Lens in the spotlight, but also it helped us raise funds for Abnormal Attraction.
Okay.
It helped us get funding because people were like, wait a minute, they're a movie production company.
But here's the great thing about it though. You guys were not advertising it in
No.
any way.
No.
You were dead silent as
Yep.
though you were completely irrelevant to
Yep.
it. And so it was
we were not trying to do that, make that connection
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
this movie thing. It wasn't
get
We
like
people
didn't
that.
think-
talking.
We didn't think it was going to be like
Well,
that
of
at
course,
all.
there's no way to like the zeitgeist, right? It's like the Sharknado thing. There's
Yeah.
no way to predict that happening. But with this, you're just sitting back watching this thing boil.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, when are we gonna reveal?
And that was difficult.
Tell me about the reveal.
Well, for a while we weren't gonna. It was boiling, and then it was like reporters started like putting certain things together, and they kept camping out our houses to see if like we were leaving as like Batman
Really?
the Clown.
But
Oh,
the
it got
funny
weird.
thing is, they didn't know that my house, my parents' house, and my grandmother's house are attached.
Oh.
So the backyards are attached. So we would go out the other
You guys are
side.
sneaking
Oh
around.
yeah, we had to.
Yeah.
It was crazy, and then the cops
insane.
were flying by and trying to find this way. This got like crazy. And a buddy of mine worked for Elvis Duran in the morning show, Z100, and he goes, "I know you guys. I know this has to be you
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the fact that they're connecting you guys a little bit, like maybe it's them, maybe it's not." And we were like, being very coy about it. And he goes, "But when you're ready, if you want, we would be honored to
Have you
break
break
the story on our show, and we'll take care of you to get your story out there, and we'll make you do this radio circuit of like every major Hollywood, Access Hollywood, all of those shows." And I didn't answer him. And then about maybe a week later, I texted him. I said, "Hey," and he goes, "You're ready." So we ended up doing it. They took care of us. We got the story out there, broke it, and that's when it ended up becoming about Fuzz.
Yeah.
And that's when it ended up helping raise money for AA. Again, it wasn't meant for that.
Right.
It was meant for this own kind of almost social experiment of putting it out there,
Yeah.
of changing the narrative. But it's a funny. You mentioned Sharknado. That was another connect that we had. You brought us to our first convention. I don't know if you know that, like Rocket
Shock, yeah. I
I
remember.
never knew
Yeah,
that world.
yeah.
You told us at the Hot Springs Horror Film Festival,
Yep.
where we'd met in person, that there's this convention world, and I had no idea about it. And I remember going there and being hooked.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is
Wasn't
a
that
real
a
thing.
trip?
Because like now you
Yeah.
start to realize like there's people out there that are like us, and that this is like a thing. And so we were like mesmerized, and we did that show every year after you brought us, and you introduced us to Anthony C. Ferranti.
Yep.
And we ended up being background in Sharknado 2
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah.
And if we ruined probably every one of his Met scene shot, because we're in, me and Steve Del
You're the
Sal
ruiners.
are in every single shot.
Don't hire some background.
They go. All right. They did the Ian. What's his name? Ian Ziering.
Ian Ziering,
Ian Ziering.
yeah.
He's running like over there, and
You're
we're
there,
behind him.
you're there.
And then it
He's
cuts to
over
this
there.
shot miles away, and there we are again. And he texts me, and he goes, "Mike, you're in every shot." I said, "I know where the camera is. The camera loves me."
Oh my God. Yeah, that was so crazy. And I ended up
And you're in the first Sharknado.
I'm in the first one for a split second, yeah, and ended
you're
up on the
in your
back
army.
cover.
We're pretty much split
Yeah.
second of each frame.
and then I'm on the back cover. I remember when that came out, and I was like, "Oh, Sharknado's
And there
the
you
disc
are.
is out." I'm like, "What the fuck? I'm bigger than everybody on the back. I'm in it for like 4
That's
seconds.
well. That's
5
what was.
seconds.
They put these press things out, and there's like a page. It's a 2-page spread
Yeah.
on one of these major papers, and there's Ian, and there's like the cast, and then me and Steve, because we are in every.
And then I got my buddy's Christine Carr
Oh, my
later on
goodness.
in the series. Like, it's just this thing that kept on going. But that's that zeitgeist thing that Staten Island Clown captured. There's no way to predict it. There's no way to manufacture it.
Yep.
It has to be that right moment.
Yep.
And I think you were hitting on something when you're like, there was something in the air. There was something, even among entertainment at large in that moment, because it wasn't just it and what you guys were doing. I mean, there was something brewing. It had been a long time since anyone had had a solid clown film. It had been a very long time.
And you know what was great about that too, what was rewarding, is that Stephen King tweeted about that as well. He said something about...
Right, Stephen King tweeted about royalties from the Staten Island Clown.
He did. He goes,
and
so
he
the
did,
Staten Island Clown,
and then, but then years later, it's about Terrifier. But also Terrifier now is brewing during that same time frame, but separately, unbeknownst to us.
Yeah.
We were involved yet. All Hallows Eve is happening.
Yep.
Damien's starting to put this Terrifier together, and then it becomes kind of full circle for us, and it's like it all clashes.
Yeah.
And now Terrifier.
With Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
So Terrifier 2, your role expanded.
It expands, and now
As
we're
producers.
brought on as producers. Fuzz and Lens becomes the production team, the production company of Terrifier 2. And we got a bigger role involved in the making of it and everything. And like there was 9 people who made that movie.
Yeah.
Like literally 9 people. Like this is not exaggeration. Like there was 9 people, and we worked on it very hard and
It took it took like
long
72
time.
days or something like that to shoot. It was crazy.
it was really long.
Because you're probably picking up when you can.
Oh
for
my god! It was like
availability.
and if it didn't work, go back and fix it. Like
Right.
it was just, and obviously in the middle of making that, COVID hits.
Yep. No, towards the end.
Or towards the end of it, whatever, COVID
last
hits.
month.
So like then we get shut down. Nobody's shooting, and like we had some things to finish, and like it was right after the Clown Cafe scene, where like there's hundreds of extras and COVID's breaking out. Like I remember they said Seattle was the first spot it breaks out, and then there's a couple that's there from Seattle, and I'm going, oh my god.
But we were in the middle. We were shooting that in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but
on
Seattle
stage, so
people flew in.
Yeah, but we were like in the middle of nowhere, so we were totally away from society.
Where were
So
you shooting that?
We were in Canada,
Johari was that towards that
Okay.
end, upstate New York.
Okay.
So it was like in the middle of the boondocks, like
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
But we were away from everything. Our phones really didn't work.
So
and
we
were
didn't
just
know what was
filming.
happening. And then I remember getting in touch. You'd have to go back to the house where we were staying, and like you'd get the service, and like you'd start to see a little. My wife's like, "Hey, they're shutting the bridges down. Like you got to get home." We didn't get home. What's happening? And then Damien made a joke. Tom Hanks died, and I started panicking. And then I realized that it was he was the first person to get COVID, and it was like, what is going on?
Right.
So it's funny, like everything gets shut down there. So like in that moment, then we started working from home of finishing Terrifier behind the
writing
scenes.
Stream.
And no, Stream was written, but it was
Yeah,
like coordinating
molding it.
to mold Stream to get ready to shoot that. And it was funny, Stream, because we also kind of linked up a little bit on a project Penn's Lane, where after we had done that movie was where my idea popped to make Stream. And we started talking about that. So that's 2015, 16.
16. We started shooting that. We started thinking of the idea of
Yeah,
molding
after
Stream
that.
in 2016.
So even before my
Yeah,
film,
because
it was
I remember
Terrifier.
because that Penance Lane started in like 2013.
Yeah.
I think is when
So
that
then-
was
and we
when I was
shot it
helping
in
with that.
2016.
Okay.
So it was like shortly after that, we start thinking about Stream, and that's about the time we got involved with Terrifier. So this is all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And we were lucky that right before COVID, we just got the funds to do Stream. So it was always the plan: Terrifier 2, Stream. But because of COVID, it became Terrifier 2 and Stream almost simultaneously to finish and start up.
Yeah.
So Damien Leone, who's director of Terrifier and creator, he's editing Terrifier 2
On the Stream set.
on the Stream set. As we're working, he's going in and out of his room to do effects and go back and edit. And it was a wild time because of COVID that kind of delayed everything.
Yeah.
And
As producers, that's a shocking thing. I mean, because you have to be prepared for being jolted
Yeah.
in so many different ways. And for you guys to get shut down and have to remain productive.
Yep. And then the also thing is too now you're making a movie with COVID guidelines now.
Oh, yeah.
Now
What
it's
is
a
that?
whole
Different
new-
universe.
but they also don't even, as if not,
But they don't even know what it is. So
and as if making indie film isn't hard enough.
Right.
So now you got to
Testing.
now think about organizing. Now you're flying these actors in: Jeffrey Combs, Tim Reed,
Yeah.
Danny Roebuck,
Wallace.
Wallace, all these actors that you need to test them now every day.
Right.
And have a COVID compliance officer on set.
But also
And there
there's
was-
zones,
there's
and
yeah.
then there's HEPA filters, and there's cleaning, because they also
So much
they
more
didn't
than-
know either how to handle this. They're
Yeah.
just like making it up as it
Right.
goes.
Yep.
It's like maybe this will work. Because
And
we were one of
think
the first
about-
productions to come back and do
Yep.
it, and we were so indie. And the reason why we got greenlit was because we were shooting in one location that was isolated, that nobody else was there but us. So the actors, the crew were all staying in one spot. So they weren't leaving, they weren't going. We were isolated in a hotel.
Right.
So that helped get the green light from SAG to say, okay, they can shoot this.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was like a whole nother navigating of like how do we do this? How do
and
we?
then you had to put money towards
and the money
towards that.
which now
Right.
you have not
Now
enough
when
money
you
to
add
make the
money,
movie.
yeah.
Now you really have no money to make
Yeah,
the movie.
right.
So it was a challenge.
When did you know Terrifier landed?
At the Halloween 2018 convention,
Yeah, we
for
knew
me,
That was the moment when you saw the
for
merch.
us, because
and you saw-
we're
merch.
there at the convention as fans, my brother and myself, and we're there just to celebrate Halloween.
Yep.
And there was Terrifier merch. There's actually a painting or saw of my character that's there, and we were getting recognized.
How surreal is that?
Surreal, and they're
right?
saying, "You're in Terrifier. Can we take a picture with you?" And we were like, "What?" And you know that movie, and it just got to Netflix, so Netflix really popped it.
Yeah.
Like that was, there was just access to it.
Right.
And I remember calling Damien with my brother Jay and saying, "Dude, I wish you were here," because again, who knew if this moment was going to
Of course.
pass?
Last year,
And we said, I wish you can see this. This is very surreal. People are recognizing us, what you did, like there are fans, and it's wild. And then, who knew where the hell it was going to go? But that was the first moment I was like, wow, this is connecting.
Yeah.
But this is the whole thing too. Is like that just goes to show you you can have a good story and everything. If you don't have a character that's iconic like that, like when me and Michael saw the picture, like when we said before, we knew that would be a hit. Like that he had the look. Dave does an awesome job with the charisma. Like he's really, really good.
Yeah.
As a sign, he puts all those emotions with just his faces alone, like what he wants to say. And he's like different because he has a little mixture of all these horror icons that you grew up. Freddy, Michael, he has it all.
Yeah.
So people really latched onto him like that. And when you have an iconic look like that, and you put him in a movie, and now you add a plot and a final girl now with
And crazy
Lauren
kills.
and crazy kills, over the top 80s style horror that everyone was kind of sick of the CGI.
Right.
That they wanted to get back to that old style that they grew up on. It's a win-win. So
I was
it
talking with
great.
my friend about this, about Dave. With that, in any other hands, that could have just been another clown. It
Right.
could have just been another, like almost like just a standard slasher kind of a thing. What he brings to that character is, it's so magnetic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's what everybody I talk to about the series says, that they're whoever else is in it, this is not to fault anybody else involved or on screen, they're just so waiting for him to show back up
Yeah,
on
right.
screen
It's
because he
crazy.
brings so
I
much
talked
to
to
it.
Heather Langenkamp about it, which is bizarre I'm even saying that.
Yeah, right.
Right. And she was saying this is very reminiscent. And she goes, I was talking to Robert Englund about it. I'm like, Robert knows about this? Like, to me, it's still so crazy that this is even like, what?
Right.
And she was saying that it was very similar to kind of what happened with Freddy, but just at a quicker pace, I guess, because of social media. And she's like, Mike, this is before 3 came out. She was telling me this because we do the conventions and stuff. And the fact that I'm even sitting there with Heather Langenkamp talking about a movie that we're a part, like, you know what I mean? It's just so
She was
bizarre.
at me and Damien's birthday party.
Yeah, she came right, cut the
yeah.
cake,
Yeah.
and it was like, what's really cool is how supportive not only the horror community is from the fans, but also like the people that are involved for X amount of years are like rooting for us and rooting for art in the independent world, because again, something like this hasn't happened, and to be a part of it, Justin, it's like, it's just such an honor, so humbling, so surreal, so crazy, and it's just mind-boggling. But at the same token, it's almost like, yeah, we're hoping this would happen. That's why we're doing it
Well,
too.
yeah.
It's like it's crazy.
That's why I texted you. I'm like, my text to you, I think, has been a number of times over the years, but I'm so fucking proud of you guys.
Thank you. That means the world, because you saw it starting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You were part of before any of this. And I remember when this was like we talked about this before, the other way. We were interviewing you.
Yeah.
And talking to you
Oh, that's
about
right.
everything,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
At
shit.
the hot springs. Yeah.
And I
That was
interviewing-
insane.
and like
Wow.
and now here we are, and it's just like, it's so cool to like where this journey has brought us, and we never forgot or ever will where we came from.
Yeah.
And are just honored to even be doing this.
Yeah, yeah.
And blessed and happy and excited, and any chance we can to give back and give advice to anybody, because like to us, we're still, who the hell are we?
We're still jackasses. We're still the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we're still like learning and trying to figure it out.
Well, you have to be eternal students.
Yeah.
You
You
really
have
do. Terrifier 2 hits theaters for that limited engagement. Because Terrifier 2 was not a wide release.
No.
It was
limited.
not. It was limited. It was what, 3 days?
supposed to be one originally, then it went to 3 days.
3 days.
And then it expanded, and it was like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we're a week.
Yep.
And
That was
now-
the zeitgeist moment.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
When that hit, and I saw the news of, wait, now we're doubling.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen. It usually goes the other way.
Yeah, totally.
And now it's like, and now it's hitting. And I remember we're out to dinner. It's myself, Jason, Damien. Yeah. And it was like, after everything kind of, it got extended. That was all it did. It got extended. And we were like, just say, let's go celebrate. We went to like a hibachi place. Yeah. And we were like, let's just, and we weren't even drinking. We were just eating and just talking about how cool it was that we have a film in theaters. And that got extended. Like, we didn't expect that. And then our phones start going off. Bloop, 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 bloop. And we all looked, and somebody passed out and vomited in the theaters. And we were like, oh, this is insane. We never expected that. And that's when
it blew up.
It went up, too, because now it became an event.
Yeah.
It became something we have to see. Then we ordered drinks. And then it was like, all right.
You know what it was? It was like that, almost like that Exorcist moment. Like when people were like so scared that they would.
But again, it was so organic.
Well,
like,
then
it wasn't planned.
Mythology grows from that,
right?
And the mythology is going to feed the box office every time. And it's like William Castle used to manufacture that shit. You guys had it happen accidentally.
Yeah, accident, and it was never like. Again, we knew we had something cool, and we never wanted to let our fan base down because we had a really strong fan base, and it was because of them. They show up. And it makes $400,000 in the theaters that first weekend. It was like, wait, what's this movie that just made $400,000 in the theaters?
Yeah.
Let's extend it. And they did. And again, it was just, okay, great, that's cool. But because of them is why it got that extension, which then made it available for these normal, everyday moviegoers that don't know. Now it's outside the fan base.
Right.
And now you have these people that have no idea what the hell to expect. And you have these average moviegoers going, that's why they started vomiting and that because they were like, what is this craziness?
Date night, let's go see a scary movie.
And you don't expect Terrifier 2. And then it blew up from there, and then it makes $15 million. And I remember every day calling each other like giddy. And we had these group texts, and we still have these group texts. But we're like, "Did you see it on this? It's on this show. It's on that show." Yeah. Rebecca Romaine is talking about it with her husband. Was it Jerry O'Connell? And they're talking about it, and it's like, what is happening?
And those numbers are like play money. When you're not from that world, you're hearing those numbers. You're like, what are you talking about?
What is going on?
And then how quickly was 3 put into motion?
3 was put into motion. We always knew we were going to do the 3 pretty quickly. Damien knew.
Was it always planned as a quartet though?
It was
always planned
from
as
his
4.
mind it was. Yeah, from his mind it was. I remember him telling me early on that was going to happen.
Wanted to do.
Yeah.
And the whole Christmas idea came later.
Yeah, because we were on set shooting. We were on set shooting Terrifier 2. It was at 72 days. So we started the end of fall, Halloween, and we were shooting a lot during the holidays. And I remember we kept saying, "Oh, we got to pull down. It looks so great with this Christmas tree and these lights." Yeah. And I think that kind of sparked Damien of like, "Yeah, we should shoot the next movie Christmas so we can do this."
Because think about it, there's not been a really good horror Christmas movie since
Black Christmas.
Yeah.
So now putting that
and everybody and people have been talking so much about how much they would love to have a Friday the 13th in the snow and that kind of stuff.
Right, and that was something that we were kind of discussing, and so Damien ran with it to his credit because it's risky.
Yeah.
And he ran with it. And
but it's the Nightmare Before Christmas thing.
Yep.
It's the only film that's straddling those 2 seasons. And you're landing in the first one, and you can come back out again in the second, whatever needs to happen. And that video release that's already been announced, all the 4K stuff, is perfectly timed for the holiday season.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like this perfect storm of like, so 3 was put into motion pretty quickly from there. And again, now it was like bigger budget. The budget's always grown. It was like $35,000, and it was $250,000, and now it was $2.5 million, which is insane. And, it was... Again, the mindset was always the same. And this comes from Damien and Phil, through us, through everybody from the top down of, you have to remember, the fans are what matters, the original fans, that this is why this popped. And there's a kind of a narrative out there that is a little inaccurate, that the studios had turned us down and that, that they interviewed and they didn't want to do the movie. That's not true. Damien met with all of them. He turned them down because they wanted to turn Terrifier into an R-rated horror movie for the masses to go see. And they felt that it needed to be rebooted. And Damien was not interested in that. He said, look, this is not that movie. I'll do a studio R-rated movie, no problem. This is not Terrifier. Yeah. Terrifier is not that. And he believes in our fan base, and he stuck with his guns, so he was the one who walked away from those deals, because there were deals that they wanted to do it. And he met with every major studio. So that's the truth of what happened. And we, I guess, have always maybe for good or bad, have always believed in ourselves, and we said we're going to go make the movie.
Yeah.
And luckily, Cineverse and Bloody Disgusting and really Phil Falcone, and
Right.
we went and did it again.
And we made it 40 times worse. And we said, all right, screw you. We're going to make it all. We're going to make it we're going to make it not rated.
But look what's happening now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it shows that like people are tired of the non-risk taking. Horror always took risks.
Yes.
And it's always about the culture and what's happening. And, horror is the biggest, I think, genre of also discovering new filmmakers.
Absolutely.
And, it was born indie. So, like, we kept it very true to that.
Yeah.
And now look what's happening. That's where the fresh ideas come from. That's where you can take those risks. And now it's proving that people are tired of the same kind of mundane, studio formulaic thing. And it's like, let's take some risks. Let's go back to that. And it shows, like, you could put, not rated movies out there, and there's a fan base for it. Take the risks, do it. Like, you can have your Marvel movies. That's what those are there for, your big blockbuster, like, formula stuff.
Right.
But, like, people are yearning for these new things that, like, they just are craving it. And that's why Terrifier is successful. That's why now Stream is getting a fan base, and, and people are wanting it because it's something different.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're doing something similar to what Rob Zombie did with does in his films. You're bringing Clint Howard in.
Yep.
He was so proud to be in.
Oh, he's the man.
T3.
He was a great guy to work with.
He was texting. He was coming to a convention in Des Moines. I was getting barraged by text from Andrew Devoff, from Clint, from
We just worked with
Butch
Andrew, too, on
Patrick.
another movie called Pitchfork Retreat, and he's freaking awesome.
Andy's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I walk in there, and Clint's got his Terrifier 3 hat on.
3 crew hat.
And I was like, he was so proud.
He
He's so proud.
I'll tell you what, we always love when we work with actors, and we really love enjoying them, we always try to include them with everything. Roebuck, all them. He was such a pleasure to work with. I would work with him any other day. He was really, really
And
cool.
Danny is so funny.
And Danny's great too.
Oh,
He's
Danny
so
is
funny in that
so funny.
scene.
Yeah, he's so
Danny's
good.
the best. And it's funny, like, and we also have a lot of crossover, because, like, if you look, like, there's a lot of actors, besides crew, like, between the two that we're doing now with Terrifier 3 and Stream, there's so much crossovers of actors. Like, Danny's in both movies.
Yeah.
Dave.
Dave in both movies. Damien does the effects.
Family.
All of us
Wesley.
involved.
Family.
Wesley. It's really family. Now I know why Adam Sandler and these guys constantly work together, because you can trust, you can lean on, you can talk with, bounce back and forth. You know what you're getting. There's no drama.
Right.
And that's what's cool about it. And the same with, like you said, bringing back some of these people like Rob Zombie. With Stream, that's exactly what we did too. Jeffrey Combs, Danielle Harris, Dee Wallace, Tony Todd, Tim Curry,
The
Bill
Tim
Moseley.
Curry thing.
Yeah.
That was
That was a cage rattler.
Yeah.
That got a lot of
honestly,
attention.
it did.
And it's funny because we wanted to work with Tim Curry a while ago. Michael could tell the story, but we wanted to work with him a long time ago.
Normal
and it didn't
Traction.
a normal traction.
It didn't
and
work
it didn't work out
because he had the stroke recently.
Yeah.
So I kept in touch
yeah.
with the his management and him and everybody, and for years he's somebody who inspired me. There's a few people, I guess, Tim Curry, Robert Englund, Dick Van Dyke, and Joe Pesci.
What a list! What a list!
Daniel Stern, like there's a few, Christopher Lloyd, like there's a few
Yeah.
people that like really inspired me, and to get into filmmaking and actors and stuff like that. So Tim was up there, and just kept over the years cultivating relationship, and finally for Stream, he said yes. He's like, I want to do it and ready to do it. I was like, what? And my wife was so like helpful and inspirational and supportive to like make that happen too, and like make me go for it and get him involved. And it was so cool and so surreal to work with him. And again, now we're trying to start something else up that's different from Terrifier, because again, we don't want to copy ourselves and do something fresh and unique. And Terrifier fans have been great. They're coming over and watching it. Reviews are awesome, but at the same token, it's finding its own fan base now of people that maybe
I see fan art.
yeah, it's
I
crazy.
See,
and there's fans that like Terrifier is like it's one thing, and like it's gory, and like there's fans like of general horror that maybe doesn't want to go that crazy with the
Right.
gore. So for Stream, my pitches to them is like, if you want to get your feet wet, maybe come in the low end a little bit.
Yeah.
And by the end of it,
Wade in.
I think you'll like it, because we go pretty crazy too, and it's like maybe you'll see the appreciation for that kind of gory horror, and that's kind of what's happening, and not on purpose. It's just kind of happening.
And we
Yeah.
also wanted to do, like with Stream too, we always felt that the fan base was, slighted from these horror icon movies that everyone would be like, oh, we're getting all these horror icons, the Avengers of horror. And it never really turned out to be that way. So with Stream, me and Mike were always like, how cool
Like,
is
give
it?
them real roles.
Give them
Do
what they
it.
want. Give real roles, not 1 second cameos or whatever. Let them all play off each
and
other.
there's going to be bigger roles and smaller
Right.
roles and scenes because it's just natural. You can't give everybody the star. But I hated though they come in for a line and they're gone, or they don't even say a line. They're just there, and it's like this was a gimmick.
There's no reason for them in the story.
Every person that was in Stream were real characters written, and it was like they fit. Like there was this banter between this husband and wife, this drunk husband and this wife, and it was like, oh, Danny Roebuck would be great for this, and Felissa Rose would be amazing, yelling and screaming, and she does that anyway.
Yeah,
so it's
totally.
like, so it worked, and it was like, so they were all cast appropriately, and that's what we were very proud of. And it was funny. It's like somebody, these like influencers, they said Rob Zombie, Adam Green, and I got to add Michael Leavy to the list of like people who can make a movie of an ensemble cast like that work. To me, that was the coolest freaking thing because I look up to these guys, Rob Zombie and Adam Green, and like I love their movies. They're so much fun, and to hear my name even associated, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but like to hear that, it was like, what is happening? Right?
Yeah. It seems like it's been so fast, but you look back and it's
A long time.
It's been a long time.
It's not overnight. Like everybody's like, where'd this come? I mean, like
Not
I said,
at all.
we met like over 10 years ago, right? And we were working really hard back with Halloween Awakening, and even before that.
Yeah.
I was making movies since I was 4.
Yeah.
Where I was so fascinated. We would take my mom's camcorder, shoot with our siblings, shoot with neighborhood kids, and I couldn't understand editing because like the computers weren't like a thing yet. And we would rewind the tape back, stop it at the moment we screwed up, and shoot it again at a new angle. And I was so fascinated about credits. Couldn't figure out how the hell they got these typed words on a screen. So what did I do? What did we do? We took our grandmother's typewriter, typed out our credits, taped them to a paper towel roll, and filmed the paper towel roll and pulled it so the credits would scroll. Yeah. And it was like, so at 4 years old even, like that's like over 30 years now of just trying to make it and do it. So it's not overnight, even though it seems, I guess, how fast.
And the whole thing is, too, when you work on these projects, you want people to come back and work with you, and you want people to spread the word and say, oh, they were so great to work with. So when they come on, we want them to have this family atmosphere. So when Michael's the director, and I fight with Michael, they find it's the funniest thing in the world because two brothers from New York fight each other. Yeah. And they're sitting down eating popcorn.
Well, the worst thing is him telling me in front of Jeffrey Combs and Dee Wallace, I suck at it. That was his direction. Michael, you suck. Right. Do it again. And they're laughing their ass off, and now you're sitting here like, I made a mistake. I should never have Jason direct the scene.
That's great. But it was funny. Jeff came up to me. He goes, "Oh, you're a hard critic, huh?" I said, "Yeah, but you got to be like with your brother." And they said that. No, it was great. It was
and you turned to Jeff and say, "You're next."
But you guys are reversing roles, though. So the family, the Terrifier family,
yes,
you're all shuffling into different roles on Stream.
That's what it is. So like with Stream, Damien's the director. I was the assistant director.
Well, Terrifier. Yeah.
Terrifier.
Oh, what am I saying?
You said Stream.
You want to flip that role too?
Oh yeah. So with Terrifier, Damien's the director. I'm the assistant director. This guy George Stuber is the DP. Steve DeLaSalle's the gaffer. Then you go into Stream, and I'm the director. Damien's doing the effects. He's a producer too. And then you got Steve's the DP. George is the gaffer. I still don't know what you do on them.
I guess.
I don't know really what you do on them. No, but Jason's like, yeah, he's casting Terrifier. He's casting Stream, but then he's producing him. He's acting in like. It's all interchangeable.
When you do a small project like that, you have to have people that are willing to do everything.
100%.
So like me, we're putting up lights 1 minute, doing sound the next minute. We're doing all different things. It's not just one role.
Jeffrey said he's never seen a set that he's ever been on where he sees everybody like hustling the way ours does. It's just because like this is the only way we know how to do it. Like, he's like, I was literally fixing his pants and hemming them as it's happening. And he's like, Mike, he goes, I said, look,
you're the director.
He goes, you're the director, why are you doing that? I said, well, somebody's got to get it done. We got to and he goes, Mike, that's like how I am. He's like, you're just get it done any which way. And that's kind of connected us. I became like really good friends with Jeff Combs, which is insane to even say.
Yeah.
And like where we talk, all the time, and
he makes phone calls to you like every Wednesday.
I have a voice note from him of him singing me happy birthday. Like that's insane. But like you don't know where these are gonna come out of, but it comes from just always being yourself.
Yeah.
Like never changed. And I'll say that for anybody part of Terrifier Stream, anything that we've done, like Damien, Phil, Steve, maybe not Steve. No, Steve. Like we've always been the same guys.
Yeah.
And I think you could attest to that, like from when we talked
100%, no different.
X amount of years ago, still making jokes, still like, but people come up about the movies, we're just like shocked and happy they're even watching them.
Yeah.
You know.
So you guys shot Terrifier 3, and you also shot a portion of 4 to tie it together.
There's
and all that
stuff with 4 that's happening.
Yeah, because of the ending and all that to carry it forward. Damien recently hinted at a 5.
He did.
Is it
news
good?
to me? No.
Well, I'm just curious because it was supposed to be 4 films.
Yeah, I think he's in
concept.
his head. He's still toying with 4 and how he wants it. I
Yeah.
know where he wants to go. We know where
how it ends.
how it ends, or how he wants it to end. But end, like, what does that mean, right? But like, we know what his story is,
Yeah.
what he wants to. And that's going to change. That's going to adapt because he's a very smart. He listens to the fans. He adapts with the times. He's not just a this is how it is and just kind of gets narrow-sighted by it. He's very open, and I think that's what makes him special.
Yeah.
He's always planned to do a 4, as far as I've known. Now I have heard him talking about a 5. He's mentioned this to us too before of doing that. Whatever he wants to do, I'm along.
Well, of course. How have you seen him change over time? Has he changed over time?
You know, his personality has not changed.
Of course.
His integrity has not changed. His heart has not changed. Maybe what has changed is his navigation of knowing exactly what he wants now and what this franchise is because of now being on the 3rd to 4th film. Like,
Yeah.
he knows exactly what it is. Whereas maybe in the beginning he was feeling it out.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of, you know, navigating through it. And again, he listens to the fan base and he kind of assesses in his own head, like, this makes sense to me, this doesn't. But beyond just that, I don't think there has been much of a change other than he's become a great writer too. I think he's grown because, you know, you look at Terrifier 1, the story there was not as intricate as it is now.
Of
and
course.
like, if you look
yeah.
if you look at 1 to 3, oh my God.
Yeah, the writing.
The writing,
different.
the allure, the editing, the tightness, like, he has grown as a filmmaker because he studies film like I've never seen. There's like 2 people in the world, and I'm going to give a plug to somebody I really don't want to. This guy, Marcus Slade.
Oh, God.
He's here with us. He's one of our buddies. He's a part of the Terrifier world as well. He's fantastic. I've never seen students of horror. And I'm a horror fan. You're a horror fan. You're a horror fan. But I've never seen students of horror as much as Damien and this guy, Marcus. Damien's just a little better at it, I think. but like, that study it, know it, and understand it, and
Right.
appreciate it. But like, every level, not even the mainstream stuff, like the most obscure things, and like, you know, different, you know, cultures of horror and stuff. And that's what Damien is. Damien loves it so much. He eats, sleeps, breathes it, and he knows it inside and out. I mean, the guy is really, when it comes to horror and filmmaking in that world, like, he's a genius, knowing exactly what's going to work. And it's crazy. He keeps pushing boundaries, and I'm just like, we're really doing this. Like, it's so cool to see. And like, I've been like his right hand man on the set of being the AD with him and being a part of it and seeing it. Obviously, other than Phil, who's his partner, producing it all. But it's such an incredible honor
And
to
it's cool to
be
see
a part of it.
It's cool to see how it grown, like how it started, like how the first one was just really, you know, an introduction of the character, and then how he found his Sienna now, and now the brother, and now this whole lore that's happening, that
The
we're
father.
just giving little taste of what's, you know, coming.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
giving it all at
It's
once.
setting a lot
You
up
have
for.
to set up.
There's so many reveals
Yeah.
that people are out there. They're doing like the Staten Island Clown.
Right.
Yeah.
They're debating. They're talking.
and
they're
that's what's
theorizing.
Yep.
We need to know.
And it's very.
Is he
and he's-
supernatural?
Yeah, and he's very
Is he
calculated with
human?
it. He knows. I'm telling you, he knows. He knows it. How often do you know the ending?
Right.
You know, look at Halloween. Loved the franchise, but they didn't know what
Right.
it was
What the
going to
ending was
be,
gonna
and the
go.
ending, and this the kind of, there were 100 retcons and changing and left and right. Damien also to keep it. There's nobody in charge but him, you know, and Phil, and he can tell the exact story, the exact arc
That he wants.
And now there's no boundaries
No boundaries.
because everything has been knocked down with the gore and, you know, the extent that these films have grown. Each one's bigger. So I mean, it's kind of not only for Damien, for you guys, it's completely knocked down all the walls around what you can and can't do, but it's done that for independent film
That's
too.
what
There it
say,
is.
yep.
That's what I'm going to say. The most thing we're proud of, and I could talk for every person that's involved with Terrifier. Damien, Phil, ourselves, Steve, George, Marcus, whoever, Jamie, whoever you want to talk about, that's involved with the Terrifier franchise. The most thing that we are proud of, Olga, is we are most proud of the doors that is open for independent films.
100%.
Because Stream, even though we're a part of it, wouldn't have had a theatrical release. Movies like In a Violent Nature, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yeah, that was on the heels of
All these
Terrifier
things
2.
mean one. Like all of these movies, whether you like them or don't like them, doesn't matter. It's more content. It's more filmmakers getting exposure and learning and getting it out there. None of that would have been possible had Terrifier 2 not broken those boundaries and those doors. And that is the thing that every single one of us, the box office numbers are great. It's awesome to be we just found out we're now the most highest grossing unrated movie of all time. That's insane to even, But all of those are cool.
Yeah.
But the thing that we take most to heart is that we opened up so many doors for the independent horror world, independent filmmaking world in general, because there are so many great talented people that never got this exposure, that have made great films.
Theatrical was never even a consideration.
No, and then they just fall by the wayside. They don't make their money, and maybe they leave the business because they're just like so just shocked and heartbroken and jaded by like what happened to them. And now at least it opens up a shot. You know how many filmmakers come up to us, like filmmakers I respect, that are like, thank you. And then I watch their film like, oh my God, this is great. Like I would have never known about it. And like people are discovering it now. So that's what we're all most proud of.
I talked about it at a film festival. I was hosting the awards show for one a few weeks ago. And in my introduction to it, where I'm talking about this sort of state of indie film as a whole, this was a genre festival, so it was a horror crowd. Right. But I'm like, this is a different landscape now. And Terrifier is the one that kicked that door down. And it's not just theatrical. It's not just where boundaries lie. It's streaming too, because streaming is still a mystery to most of everybody who's associated with entertainment, period. But for you guys, like, streamers are more open. I'm looking at stuff showing up on Netflix and Tubi, and all of a sudden, like,
a lot of independent now.
A lot of independent stuff that's hitting. So they're seeing value in that. It's just amazing.
And you're discovering all these new, and who would have known the three schmucks you would have met back at Heart Springs Horror. These guys
making a Halloween fan film.
By making the Halloween fan film before
crazy.
that, and be like, these guys are going to change the game.
Before Terrifier 3, when I was sitting in theaters, a trailer played. It's kind of a teaser trailer. Didn't let too much on. Tell me about Steamboat.
Yeah, so what's funny is, we were monitoring this for a while. The director of The Mean One, who's a buddy of mine, he went to Monsignor Farrell High School, Staten Island. That's where me and Jason, Steve Del Sal, we all went. Did his Mean One thing. We helped him get David Howard Thornton involved in it. That's the only connection we had to that. But we grew up, in a sense, together through high school. He had success with his Mean One, and we had success with Terrifier. I won't tell you which one I thought was better. No. Steve, if you're listening. No, so we always wanted to do a movie together.
Yeah.
And so he was following this public domain Steamboat Willie thing that's happening.
The clock was ticking on that.
And he's talking, I'm talking like 2 years before it released into public domain, he's telling us about it. And he goes, hey, what do you think about doing this? He goes, I want to make it a comedy, but like horror comedy. And like, us, I hear comedy, I'm like, okay, this is back to the roots.
You're in.
And he goes, yeah, make it gory like Terrifier, but not like Terrifier. Like still gory where you guys have your signature thing.
Gore.
But a fun gore, like over the top, satire, bonkers, crazy. I mean, there's a killer fucking mouse.
Yeah.
So it's like something crazy. And, we get David to do it. And I was like, oh, this could be fun. It's different. We can have some fun with it. And so he pitched it on that. And we said, yeah, we're in, And I said, as long as we can be a part of the production value of it, to up his, game from the Mean One stuff. And, that's what we wanted to bring, but then at the same token, have a lot of laughs and fun. So we ended up, and we want to make it Staten Island centric. So the movie is very Staten Island heavy. I mean, you could see from the teasers, it's on a Staten Island ferry.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we did it, and we had a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of, you see kind of like, it's a mini mouse. It's like a miniature mouse. Like David's playing this miniature mouse. We did a lot of forced perspective.
Yeah.
We did a lot of, it's very practical, puppeteering, but then also David and like this kind of like how they did Elf. So it was like a different world. And like, I was like, yeah, this will be fun. It was just a fun, again, kind of poking fun at Disney, poking fun at itself, poking fun of that kind of, Ginger Dead Man, Chucky, like, that kind of style. And it was just a challenge for us of something we've never done before. And now we have a theatrical release coming out in January. It's a wide theatrical release too, actually, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fun. It's different. Like I said, people probably are not expecting the movie it is because it is a comedy. You can laugh. That's the point. And it's supposed to be poking fun at the kind of film it is, and it is satire. Right. And like I said, I'm just excited to see what fans think because it's a ride. It's got like these ups and downs, and it's just meant to just be like this popcorn, midnight fun, kind of film.
Was this out of your pockets? Were you guys just self-funding this thing?
Pretty much.
How did it come together?
Pretty much. There's he's got a couple of private investors that are like, but he knows. But like, it was just, let's just do this for fun.
Yeah.
And again, get some Staten Island people involved and make it very Staten Island centric, but like real New York Staten Island, like because we know this jokes, we know the so we wanted it very authentic.
Yeah.
In that, and we got some tricks up our sleeves. And David's great in it.
How long was the shoot?
Wasn't long. It was very quickly. So we actually wrapped Terrifier 3. We wrapped Terrifier 3 in. I'll tell you how fast it was. In
March. No, we started in February.
We wrap it in April, the end of March. Yeah. So it was like March, let's say 29th.
Mm-hmm.
And we go into production April 4th on SCREAMBOAT.
What?
Yeah. And we finish SCREAMBOAT to May 1st. So like it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks quickly. It was a nightmare.
Oh my God.
And we do this quickly.
So you go from Stream, then the editing process Stream, then to Terrifier 3, then right to
SCREAMBOAT.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And then so it was busy, and then we shoot it quickly. And now that's gonna come out, and then Stream comes out, then Terrifier 3 comes out, and now SCREAMBOAT's coming out. Yep. And like I said, I think people are not expecting what it is. Right. It's silly. But it's cool. It's gonna be fun.
I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm so thrilled for all that you're experiencing, and I hope you're swimming in it. It seems like you are. You've always been so aware and grounded in like family, and it's like a celebration for all of you, and you're all doing so many different projects together.
That's the best part.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So
like we're all working together. Like it's me, Jay, Steve, and Damien, Phil, and Marcus, and all like people I've mentioned over and over. Like it's all of us, and that's what's cool. Yeah. That very rarely happens where everyone's experiencing the same success together.
Yeah.
And that's the best part. Like I'm doing it with my brother, and like it's awesome.
Amazing. Thank you guys for this.
Of course.
Oh, thank you for having it. I'm honored. Like when you said you wanted, I was like, this is cool.
Perfect timing too. We were going to do it remotely, and
now here we are.
Holy shit! I'm going to be in the hotel. Let's do it. Awesome.
All right, good.
What a fun discussion. Mike and Jason, thank you so much for taking time last week to come and sit down, hang out in my room for a little bit, and talk shop. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. They're amazing to be around. If you ever get the chance to see them, they do a lot of conventions, so they often have a table, a Fuzz on the Lens table. Go up and talk with them, chat with them. They really want to be supportive of fellow creatives, and so they're always going to love to engage in that conversation. Conventions can be for more than just autographs, right? and that's, anyway, check them out. Follow Fuzz on the Lens on social media. I know they have individual pages too, and you can keep up with them there. As for me, you can find all the news on new releases, upcoming releases, and that at justinbeahm.com. And I'm on social media as well. Just look for my name on Facebook and on Instagram. The email address for the show is radiohourpod@gmail.com. And the voicemail line, which is open 24/7, is 951-357-6955. This episode, I didn't have a theme for discussions, but for the next one, just keep your eye on the Radio Hour social media, where I will post the theme for the upcoming episode for the voicemails and for the emails. So I'll say something like, tell me about a film that inspired you when you were a kid and helped give you direction in life. I don't know, something like that. I'll play the messages or read them on the air and discuss it, and love that interactive aspect. So yeah, radiohourpod@gmail.com. Look up the Justin Beahm Radio Hour on social media. And then that voicemail again is 951-357-6955. I'm going to thank my webmaster and constant tech guru, Lynn Amaker, for keeping this thing rolling and for all the support on the website over the years. And to everyone for listening. Thank you so much. And if I don't see you in Nebraska tomorrow as this lands, I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Happy Halloween, everyone.
You have been listening to the Justin Beahm Radio Hour. The Radio Hour is a production of Reverend Entertainment, copyright 2024. All rights reserved.